Hello, my motor enthusiasts. Major shakeup in Formula One as we bid goodbye to Gunther Steiner from Haas. Enter Ayao Komatsu, an engineering stalwart, ready to take the reins and spearhead a new era of leadership. This mirrors a growing trend in the motorsport world, with senior engineers stepping up as team leaders. As the former head of track engineering, Komatsu brings a deep understanding of the inner workings of the team. But with engineering expertise comes a need for commercial and political acumen. The team is in flux, finishing last in the Constructors' Championship last year. The departure of technical director Simone Resta adds to the challenge. Will Komatsu leverage his in-depth knowledge of the team and strong leadership to revitalize Haas? The paddock awaits. Quite the curveball, right? And for those who might not know me, I'm your host, Enzo.
Hello all, this is William Turner, chiming in.
We're thrilled to have you with us on F1 Motor Fever podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button to not miss any of our broadcasts. Full throttle, folks. Now, with Steiner stepping down and Komatsu taking over, it's a turning point for Haas. The team is following a global trend where senior engineers are being promoted to team leadership positions, much like Mclaren with Andrea Stella.
But why are teams promoting engineers to these top positions?
Ha, are you seriously asking that, after all these years in Formula One?
Well, there could be listeners out there who are new to the sport.
True, but we run the risk of our seasoned listeners switching channels if we start explaining the basics, don't we?
I don't think so. In fact, a refresher on these foundational aspects can be quite engaging, even for our seasoned followers.
It's really quite interesting how Gene Haas acknowledges that engineering is at the heart of their management strategy. He's all in on maximizing the team's resources, especially with the budget cap and ground effect cars coming into play. I've got a mate who'd be chuffed to hear about this.
That's definitely a shift from the previous management style. It seems Gunther Steiner was advocating for further investments in Haas's infrastructure, but Gene disagreed.
Spot on. Gene believes they already have what it takes. They just need to manage their resources more efficiently. Steiner's departure seems to have emerged from these differing viewpoints.
So, it's not all about money, but the effective use of available resources.
Exactly, and this is not unique to Haas. We've seen this trend in other teams as well. Williams with James Vowles, Alpine with Bruno Famin, and AlphaTauri with Laurent Mekies are all examples. But let's not oversimplify. Leading an F1 team isn't purely technical. It would be a mistake to think that just promoting an engineer would fix everything. When you look at James Vowles taking over at Williams, you see a perfect example of what Toto Wolff, head of Mercedes, is talking about. Yes, Vowles has an engineering background, but he also has a strong grasp of the commercial and political aspects of the game. You need such a balance.
So you're saying having a purely technical or commercial background isn't enough?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's about personality. You might be an engineer, but have the right personality to lead, or you might have a business background and contribute significantly to the team's technical strategy. Look at Steiner, for instance. His technical and commercial background was key in keeping Haas alive during the COVID crisis and establishing a more solid commercial platform for the team.
And now, with Komatsu taking over, the team's dynamic will surely change.
Indeed, Komatsu is a different personality and certainly won't be as outspoken or flashy as Steiner. This might make for a completely different atmosphere within the team. Anyway, I'm getting carried away here. Wow. I can't help but think how amazing the world of Formula One is. Such emotions, such competitiveness, such adrenaline. It's quite something, isn't it? What do you reckon, my lovely listeners? Are you enjoying the content? Don't forget to hit the like button, all right? I'm absolutely loving these updates, and I hope you are too. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. Let's carry on. Interestingly, it's not just about having an engineer in charge. It's also about having a support system around them in areas where they might not be as strong. Stella at Mclaren is a good example of this, forming a partnership with CEO Zach Brown.
So, there's a balancing act between the technical and the managerial aspects then.
Exactly. It's about complementing strengths and weaknesses. For instance, Haas plans to appoint a factory-based director to cover all non-racing matters, which will allow Komatsu to focus on the race aspects.
But surely there must be some challenges that Komatsu will have to face that are outside his usual scope.
Absolutely. Komatsu will have responsibilities within the paddock that go beyond what he has been doing so far. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's far too early to judge the impact Komatsu will have in 2024. One could argue it's a bit naive to think that just having an engineer at the helm would automatically trigger the kind of turnaround that Stella'S sparked at Mclaren.
And what about the unique situation Haas finds itself in?
Well, Komatsu is stepping in to lead a team that's been struggling. Haas finished last in the Constructors' Championship in 2023, and to add to the complications, technical director Simone Resta has departed. It's a challenging time, to say the least. The challenges Komatsu faces are significant. He's taking over a team at a much earlier stage than Mclaren was when Stella'S took the reins. Stella'S had the advantage of substantial investments in new facilities and a recruitment drive, bringing in talent like Rob Marshall from Red Bull and David Sanchez from Ferrari.
So, will it be a matter of doing the best with what he has?
Precisely. Komatsu must make do with what he has at his disposal. Also, let's not forget, his personality is starkly different from Stella'S. He's firm and doesn't have that soft touch that marks Stella'S popular leadership style.
This transition from pit wall to leader must be daunting, right?
No doubt. However, one thing Komatsu has going for him is his deep understanding of Haas, having been a key figure in its formative years. In an interview last year, Komatsu spoke about this. He said, "We are a true team. We don't have, say, inertia or bureaucracy like some others. Here at Haas, you don't need to be afraid to make decisions."
That's quite a positive outlook.
Indeed. He seems eager to make his mark and guide Haas through its highs and lows. Whether this will be enough to steer Haas out of its current predicament, only time will tell. Komatsu certainly brings a bold approach to decision-making. He believes that if the majority of his decisions are correct, that's what really counts. Nobody can be right all the time, but fear of making decisions is a sure path to failure.
That's a fearless outlook, given the pressures of his new position.
Indeed, in his new role, his decisions will be under greater scrutiny than ever before. As a team leader, there will be far less room for error.
It sounds like we're in for an intriguing next chapter in this saga.
Absolutely. It will be fascinating to follow the Haas team's journey under Komatsu's leadership. William, you've always got an ear to the ground when it comes to the online chatter. What's the vibe on the web regarding our current discussion?
Let's have a look. Here, Lewis1234 has posted this. Gene Haas embarrassed by his team's poor F1 form.
And what's the response been?
Well, there's a bit of a debate going on. LPBay78 joked, quote, "Gene, why isn't the car fast? I specifically requested it," unquote.
Classic.
Visionary Socialist joined in, adding, quote, "It says here we've got more time in the wind tunnel than everyone else, so why are we still so goddamn slow?" unquote. And Titanium X chimed in with, quote, "We can also spend a lot more till we reach the budget cap, so why don't we?" unquote.
Seems like there's a bit of satire going on.
Indeed. And listen to this, Not Normal 99, after a bit of back and forth, says, quote, "That still places them behind all the teams that started at it, while also having better staff. Haas might be a player in 2026, might," unquote.
That's a tad pessimistic, don't you think?
It is indeed. Let's see what else we have here. Tree with a T brought up an interesting fact. Quote, "During seasons like 2017 to 2018, Mercedes had 1,200 employees for their F1 team. You know how many Haas had? 200. And 2018 was their best season," unquote.
That does give some perspective, doesn't it?
It does. And there's a lot more in this thread, but I think we've got the gist of it. The fans are certainly not holding back their opinions on this matter.
That's true. Whether they're behind a keyboard or in the stands, the fans are a huge part of what makes this sport so special. And their passion, in all its forms, is always appreciated. That's all from us today on F1 Motor Fever Podcast. We had a thrilling time discussing the latest happenings in the world of Formula One. Your company on this journey is greatly appreciated. If you've enjoyed today's episode, do consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Your support goes a long way in fueling our passion for the sport.
And don't just keep the excitement to yourself. Share our podcast with your mates, your family, your local barista, or even your pets. We're not picky. And if you've got some thoughts or theories of your own, we'd love to hear them. So drop us a comment and join the conversation.
We've got plenty more lined up, so keep your ears peeled for our next episode. Believe us, it's going to be a scorcher.
That's right. We're here every day, serving up your daily dose of Formula One chatter. So set your reminders, put a post-it note on your fridge, do whatever it takes to remember. You wouldn't want to miss out, would you?
On that note, we're signing off for today. A huge thank you from both of us here at F1 Motor Fever Podcast.
It's been a blast, and we're already revving up for the next episode. Until then, Enzo and William. Pedal to the metal, keep your gaze on the road. Our channel's content is pure gold.